It has been a very long time coming. It's funny to me because we started the show right at the time that he got to Michigan. We're going to be welcoming on former Michigan quarterback Shea Patterson right here on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday. We are back in doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. And it's been a little while since we've gotten to see the man who is over to my side there, and that is former Michigan quarterback Shea Patterson. Shea, so happy to have you, man. We've been talking about doing this for a long, long time.
I know. Thanks for having me, Isaiah. I appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. I'm happy to be on the show.
Well, I feel like it's probably hard to pry you away. It's like, yeah, you had your CFL career, but you're also now a new father. So how exciting is that? Just tell me a little bit about fatherhood. What's that's been like in the short term?
Yeah, it's so he turned a year old on July 6th. And he was born on the night or the same weekend as my first CFL start. So we went out, played Toronto, flew home, was there for the birth, and then I had to fly right back, which was really tough. But it's amazing. It's the best thing in the world. The biggest blessing in my life so far. And I'm just grateful that I get to experience something like that.
I think it's going to make a lot of people feel old now just to feel like, yeah, Shea Patterson's got a 1-year-old because it feels like it was yesterday that you were just transferred in after 2 years at Ole Miss. But that's welcome to the old club, man. I might not have any kids, but I'll tell you what, like before long, you're going to be looking back and be like, wait, what? That dude's already a grown up.
I know. He's already got a full head of hair.
That's just wild.
It's flying by, but love the little guy more than anything, man.
Speaking of that idea of making one feel old, I make myself feel old when I think about the fact that I have known you since 2016 Army All-American game. That whole week, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with you, but we spent some time together as I was photographing events for 24/7 Sports. Because I think we're just going to go back and we're going to talk a little bit about your college experience in general, but like what, you were the number one quarterback in the country. You won MVP of that event. What do you remember about all of that?
I think that the coolest part was the full circle thing for me. When I was in 7th grade and 8th grade, I played in the East Bay All-American game. And that was a cool experience because I got to go up to San Antonio in the Alamo Dome and play in that little deal. And then that same night, we all got to be in the stands and watch the actual U.S. Army game. So I remember just way back when I told my parents, like, I want to play in this game one day. And, fast forward 6 years, you're actually playing in it and getting to have that experience and playing with the best athletes in the country, and your dreams kind of unfolding right in front of you. I think it was a priceless moment throughout my career.
It's funny because at that time, obviously, that was Jim Harbaugh's. He was assembling his first class, and in no one's wildest dreams in Ann Arbor at that time would you have been of the future Michigan starting quarterback, right? Because at that time we were looking at like David Long, we were looking at Devin Asiasi and some of those guys while we were there. I just always, my favorite memory, which has nothing to do with you, is just Rusty Mansell from 24/7 always pulling me and like, come get pictures of Jacob Eason. Like, look at how many people look talking to Jacob Eason. Right. But at the same time, like, you were like the hype beast of that entire thing. And I just remember Steve Wiltfong just gushing over you. Just a transition, like fast forward 2 years, you're the Michigan starting quarterback, even though we've heard a bit of this story through press conferences. What was kind of going on behind the scenes that made it so that you ended up in Ann Arbor?
Man, it was just one of those times where we had went through something at the University of Mississippi, something out of a lot of people's control. And, looking back, I could have stayed. And, I have nothing but respect for everybody at Ole Miss and all the alumni. And, prayers up for Coach Freeze right now, who's battling cancer. But I had goals, and I wanted to. I always told myself I wanted to compete for a conference title and try to win a national title, and so that was kind of the reasoning behind transferring. And next thing you know, Coach Harbaugh is flying into Oxford, Mississippi, and we're sitting at our table, and it didn't take long for me to get sold there. And I also grew up a Michigan fan. I was born in Toledo, Ohio, right down the road. Grew up going to Wolverine games at the big house with my brothers and my dad and all kinds of family members. And another full circle moment. I kind of dreamt about playing at the big house at the University of Michigan when I was a little kid. So it was a very cool experience all in all.
And obviously the expectations were through the roof, but at the same time, Michigan fans really got very excited, just not only based off of the potential, but then on top of it, like the year that preceded you, it was obviously not that good. You come in, first you lose the game to Notre Dame, but then rattle off 10 straight wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of those ones where it was like that could have gone either way. I mean, it was your first game there. It was a road game, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But how was it to take over a team that had a lot of established parts, right? Like Pep Hamilton was back for his second year. I know that you were really close with him. But to be able to keep things together after a season opening loss, to rattle off 10 wins the way that you guys were able to.
I think it was just a testament to the coaches we had in there, to the atmosphere that Coach Harbaugh created, and just to the guys that we had in the room. I came in as an upperclassman as a junior, and we had a lot of juniors and seniors in that group. And I think we had a really good football team, and we had a certain way that we went about things. We're never going to lay down and quit, and we were always going to fight for everything. And I think we really came together and rattled off those 10 wins as a group, and that was just a testament to the character of the guys that we had in that room that year.
I still think it's funny because I just remember talking to some people who had like a completely skewed version of or view of what college football was. And I was seeing things kind of coming together much earlier than I think a lot of other people did. I just remember talking to some reporters after the Northwestern game, which I know everyone was kind of sweating that one out. I wasn't surprised to see you get to the Gauntlet and end up rattling off 3 straight wins. With that, I want to talk about the Gauntlet. I have some questions about 2019. I have a couple others that I want to get to with you, Shea, and we're going to do that here in just a moment.
All right.
Before we do, summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following all of the action. Why not make it a lot more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups. The app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Super easy to use. It pays out super fast and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. If you are new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. all good. We're still going, but we have a mobile Shea Patterson here. We'll let him get situated. Mobile, actually, that kind of. I was gonna say that leads me to one of the things. Like, I'm not gonna ask you to critique the idea of the former team or whatever, but you were considered to be something of a dual threat, but were used mostly as a pro style. I mean, you could do both. Did you want to run more than you did? Because it seemed like we got to that 3-game gauntlet, as people call it, against Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State. And it felt like they ran you like a ton. And it was like, here we go. This is what we've been waiting on. And then we kind of didn't see it again.
You're talking about 2018, right?
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was Coach Pat Hamilton, I thought was an awesome coach, and coming from a pro style background, I think we just tried to mix it up a bunch. I think they, I don't necessarily think I was any type of, the ultimate runner, but I was always athletic and I was fast enough, and I think I'm faster now than I was back then, but I think I was utilized the right way. I just think everything's timing, and I think we did the most with what we had and the opportunities we were given. I think the coaching staff did a great job all year long. But yeah, I mean, I think I would have liked to use my athletic ability a bit more that year. I think we did a little bit in talking about that Northwestern game. I don't know why it just came to me, but at the end, I think they might have called a holding call on Karan Higdon one of the times, but we did pull a little zone read there at the end to seal the deal. I think we did enough of that. I think. As I'm looking,
I'm not trying to get a sound bite or anything. I was thinking, like, man, they should have run Shea more, but I also understand the perils of being that dual threat. A lot of people might not recognize or realize, rather, that first play that happened in 2019 maybe kind of changed things up, because for people who might not recall, Middle Tennessee season opener, first play from scrimmage, you run the football, you get up, you go to the next play, but things weren't exactly what people might have thought at that point. Am I right? Am I wrong? Did you maybe get a little injured on that play?
I definitely did something to my oblique. I definitely might have partially torn it, or don't really recall, but it was definitely not 100%. Thought we finished the game out decent, and not quite how I had planned. But yeah, that first play, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was just took off, and next thing you know, I fumble, and I didn't see the guy coming, and my body twisted all weird. But yeah, I definitely was not who I wanted to be and who I was, before that first snap. The following few games after that.
It seemed like it took you a little while to get things kind of going, but you eventually did. Which we'll get to that in a moment. But like, how hard was that, having to try to kind of grin and bear it? Because it always seemed like going through the season, it felt like, man, it kind of feels like Shea's in pain out there, but you were like toughing through it. And then we'd get through a couple games and you'd be like, oh yeah, actually that was kind of not great. and then you're like, but I'm fine now. And then we kind of get a couple games later, actually still kind of wasn't great, but now I'm fine now. How hard was it that season to kind of keep your bearings, given that one play in, you're already injured?
Yeah, it was really tough. Obviously a lot of high hopes for that year going into my last year at Michigan. And, for that to happen on the first play was really tough. Looking back, I could have possibly maybe taken a little bit of time off. but I wanted to play. I wanted to play for my teammates, for my brothers. I love the game. I couldn't stand not being out there. But yeah, I'm not totally sure exactly about the injury, but I definitely did something to my oblique. But I don't recall which game I was back up to 100%, but definitely towards the second half of that season is when I started to feel myself again.
Yeah, you definitely, it was clear because you rattled off 300-yard games to close out the 2019 season. But as much as I could go through those games, we could go through the gauntlet. I want to just ask you, when you think back to like, what was your favorite moment putting on the winged helmet? Like, what was your favorite game? Your favorite, if there could be a couple different games, like, but what are those moments that really stand out to you about your time in Ann Arbor?
Every time I strapped up in that winged helmet, and every time I put on the Michigan Wolverine uniform, it's an indescribable feeling. It's something that I dreamt about as a kid. So every time I got that opportunity, it was like I treated it like it was my last. But I think a couple of those Michigan State games were very memorable, and DPJ going down the sideline in 2018, and then us just throttling them at home, and then getting our second chance as a group to have a little bit of revenge on Notre Dame at home, in the rain. I remember in the third quarter, and Mr. Brightside comes on, and they're throwing. I don't really remember what they were throwing on the field, but it was electric, and definitely experience that I'm forever grateful for.
Well, we've got a couple more questions for you, Shea. We're going to continue on with Shea Patterson, former Michigan quarterback, here in just a moment. All right, we're going to finish out with Shea. Shea, I won't keep you all day, and I can tell you're having to switch rooms constantly. So
I know, my bad, man.
No, it's not on. I understand that, but that's why I don't want to keep you for terribly long. I'm just glad to finally have you. I'm wondering how much of you, because obviously you've been playing in Canada, and you finally got your opportunity to play this year. But let me ask about that first before I get to what I was going to get to there. What was that experience like? Because obviously you kind of also had to wait your turn to get out there, but there were moments where it felt like you got to come in over the last couple of years. Seemed like you'd make some plays and then wouldn't really get to hear from you again. And then again, like I'm writing another article, Shea goes off in a game and then we don't really get to hear from you again. Yeah. How was that experience?
It was football, and I love the game of football. I think it was just a growing experience, all in all, a learning experience. Had to go up there and learn the game. It's a longer, wider field. There's only 2 downs. All your receivers are moving at the snap of the ball. The waggle is what they call it. There's 12 guys on defense. It's a fast-paced game, and it's it was fun. It was a fun experience, but it definitely took about a year to learn the game, and up there you gotta do the time, put in the time, and earn the right to get on the field, and that's kind of what I did for the first 2 years, and came back down to the USFL, had that experience, and then went up to Saskatchewan for 2 years, and after a year of doing the short yardage package and the tush push, whatever they call it in the NFL right now, that's kind of what I did on 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1 for the whole year in 2023. Had some run packages, and then finally got a chance to start this past year. It was a great experience, and I was just happy to get on the field and do what I love again.
Well, that is awesome, and hopefully we'll get to continue. I know you're a free agent right now, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
So hopefully that doesn't last too long, and we get to see you on the field again soon. I do want to know how much have you gotten a chance to continue to pay attention to Michigan after your departure? Obviously, 2020 was not really a year, and I know you were kind of with the program for a minute in 2021.
Yep.
But how much have you gotten to pay attention to everything that's gone on, and how closely have you been able to follow?
Even when I was in Canada, man, I watched, followed every Saturday. I had my Maize and Blue on, and it was, making in locker room bets with my teammates. Having to a couple of the Ohio State games where one of my teammates would have to come in and wear a Michigan jersey the next day after they got the job done. But yeah, just as far as Coach Harbaugh guided that entire coaching staff in the direction it finally, eventually got to be. And Coach Schroen's done a heck of a job of taking over and leading those guys on offense. And I think they're in incredible hands with him. And for future years to come, I think there's nothing but success in the years to come. But yeah, it was just it was awesome watching him from afar and being able to root him on every weekend.
Do you have any thoughts about like you got early playing time at Ole Miss, right? You got to start pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about what that would be like if Bryce Underwood gets that opportunity? Similar situation, obviously, like highly thought of recruit,
Mm-hmm.
maybe potentially thrown into the fire early. What are the challenges about that if that's the case for him?
Yeah, I haven't watched much of him. I've seen a few clips, and it's pretty impressive. I can't wait to see what he does. I'm very excited to watch him play. I think the sooner he gets into it, and I'm sure he's had a lot of time this summer to lead that group during workouts and player-led workouts and player-led 7-on-7 and all that good stuff to start that leadership role. I think the sooner he just gets in a game and gets his feet wet, I think the rest will be history. Of the few clips that I've seen, it's like I said, I can't wait to watch him play. But yeah, as soon as you have a guy like Bryce and you can establish that early on, I think it'll definitely pay dividends in the long run for him and for the team.
See, I just want to kind of know, like, because you got to play a lot as a freshman at Ole Miss, didn't you? I have to maybe refresh my memory because we're talking all while ago.
I started the last 3 games, 2016. I had planned on redshirting, and then Chad Kelly went down. I think against Georgia Southern maybe. Last couple weeks of the season, and I had talked with Coach Freeze, and we both just had a mutual agreement, and I was ready to go. I was, working my tail off all season, and I was prepared to go. But yeah, the first college start at Kyle Field against Texas A&M, that was an electric atmosphere. And going back to, your question with Bryce, I think just being in the big house, getting that feeling of 115,000 fans, and feeling and doing it in front of everybody, and then going on the road and playing in big time environments, I think, because once that happens, it's just like, you're just out there in the backyard, you're playing and you're free. So Yeah.
That's kind of like one of those things that I think that people also don't realize. As a quarterback, you're under not just the fan pressure cooker in terms of in-game atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, I feel like we've talked about this off the air multiple times throughout the years, just the pressure cooker of being the Michigan quarterback and fan opinion and everything. How hard is that to because you always hear, well, yeah, we're going to just shut out the noise and everything, but that feels like it's easier said than done a lot of times. I guess, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, it was two different environments that I got to experience. One on the SEC at Mississippi. There's obviously a lot of history there with the Mannings and a lot of greatness to come out of that school as well. And then, getting that experience early on as a freshman and as a sophomore, and then stepping over and playing, having to take that role as the Michigan quarterback, it's something that, it's a big role. And to whom much is given, much is required. That's definitely a big thing that I took out of it. But to me, I never really felt that pressure. I just went out there and played ball. I loved on my teammates, trusted my coaches, and just went out there and had fun. It's, and with the want to win every single time I stepped on the field, and to win for the University of Michigan. Every time I stepped on the field, that was what was going on in my head. Not, the pressure of being the Michigan quarterback, not the fans or, any of that noise. It was just out there doing what I love.
Well, we here at Locked On Wolverines love you, Shea. We, for a while, were probably Locked On Shea Patterson rather than Locked On Wolverines, but nonetheless, thank you so much for spending your time with us here today, especially given just kind of some logistical constraints at home. We do appreciate it. And we are going to be back on Friday as a show with the mailbag. So look out on Twitter for the call for questions as the Michigan mailbag returns. But for Shea Patterson over there to my side, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. We will be back again soon. Peace.
Go Blue.